our region. Now we proceed to another session. This is regarding strategies for project success in a VUCA world. And for that purpose, I would like to invite this gentleman whose profile is as follows. He's a project manager at the Saudi Bin Laden Group, SBG, bringing around 38 years of experience in design, development, construction, and contract administration of public buildings, airports, and infrastructure development projects. He started his career as a site engineer in Sri Lanka State Engineering Corporation, subsequently joining the Saudi Bin Laden Group Public Buildings and Airport Division in 1988. Among the major projects that he has completed in Sri Lanka that stand the test of time is the ubiquitously known Biyagama Free Trade Zone infrastructure development, alongside his current role, or rather where he retired from, as the project director of Maldives International Airport Expansion Project as recently as 2020, and continues to provide consultancy services to the companies involved as an external consultant. He has managed 3 international airports in Malaysia, the United Arab Emirates, Maldives, and several public buildings in Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Dubai as project manager and project director. These public buildings and airports have become landmark buildings in those particular countries. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, on how to succeed in a VUCA world, Nihal Premachandra.
You have this ray.
Yeah.
What is this thing? This way, right? So this is the ray.
That's right, yes.
This is going out, and this is coming in.
You go that way and backwards.
Right.
If we could have a wireless mic, that would be much more easier for Nihal as well. I'm told that he has intended a very dynamic and engaging presentation for you, so if we can do the honors by our team backstage, that would be fantastic. Once again, Nihal Premachandra, everybody.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Hopefully, in fact, Dr. Dharmasiri touched about VUCA world. And what I'm trying to do is that I was also in VUCA world in Maldives International Airport when I went to Maldives. So I'll explain to you the situation I face and how I navigate and how I win the game. Right. Now, what is VUCA world? Dr. Dharmasiri already explained to you. It is if you find volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, you are in VUCA world. Right, so he explained to you that you can counter this situation by vision, improving vision on the volatile situation, understanding the uncertainty very well, and have confidence in controlling the people. The complexity is avoided, and if you improve your agility, you can counter this ambiguity. How did I do that? When I went to Maldives, they have fish. I'm going to execute a project of 347 million US dollars. They don't have single sand piece. They don't have aggregate. I have to import that from India. Everything I have to import. So currency volatility is a big issue. It can erase my profits. So I was very keen on that, and I tried to improve my vision on factors causing volatility. That is currency fluctuation, bank interest rate fluctuation, inflation. I went to the bank to get my performance bond in Maldives. They said, no, you are a big company, but we are not going to give you the performance bond. I said, why? No. If you don't perform, if the client calls that 30 million US dollars of that performance bond, we are out of the business. So then I went back to Dubai. I spoke to my boss. I have a problem like this. Then he told me, go to Mashreq Bank. I'll speak to the chairman. I went to Mashreq Bank, and he said, it's not a problem with your Bin Laden group. It is a problem of the country. Country risk profile is very high. Nobody will give you bonds like this. So you better find a solution. Right. So why I explained to you that, because when you are executing projects, you have risks. There are two types of risks. One is unknown risk, and the other one is known risks. Now, I had an experience of constructing Kuala Lumpur International Airport. I did the Sharjah International Airport, but I did not know that I cannot take performance bond if the country risk level is high. So unknowns can come. If I don't give the performance bond, they will not give me the advance payment. If you don't give me the advance payment, I cannot give my subcontract work. So you must always find the gaps in your knowledge. COVID-19, unknown. And known unknowns also, you have to understand that you don't have gaps. Now, what is happening here is unknowns, you must keep contingency allowance to deal with that if it happens. But it is a bit difficult. I will explain to you in the last slide how to deal with the unknowns. But known unknowns, it's easy. Because you have your work breakdown structure. I get my team to prepare risk register for each and every work package. I had 39 work packages in my project. Now, they prepared a probability of occurring all such risks in each package as a percentage. Then I got them to evaluate if that percentage of risk happens, how much it will cost you to deal with that. If you multiply the probability by the impact of cost, you get the expected monetary value. You add all 39 packages, expected monetary value, that is the value to be kept as a contingency sum for known unknowns. Then there can be black swan events. What is black swan events? It is an event which can happen as a risk, unknown risk, and the consequences will be very high. That also can happen if you have knowledge gaps. The black swan word came from Europeans. Europeans saw all the swans in Europe are white. But in 1639, they found Australia, there are black swans. That was the knowledge gap that they had, so they say black swan events. Of course, COVID-19 is not a black swan event. To me, it's the gray swan events. I will explain to you later on that. So, if you understand this risk contingency allocation, you can always make sure that you are not losing from this project. Then the complexity. Complexity is something created by the people. People are complex. Airport is a place where you have a lot of interfaces with various trades. So interfaces are there, too many stakeholders are there, it is also complex. Now, if you don't show your confidence in controlling everybody, they will start fighting each other, claiming each other, create the complex environment again. I myself a certified contract administrator. So I show my teeth and said, look, this is what I want. I make it a very confident statement that you don't do that. You do what I want. So here, then it comes to this. Now, let us say, now this is a meeting between employer and contractor. If you don't tell your stakeholders, this is your role and responsibility, they will start fighting each other. So I stopped that also because the complexity is creating uncertainty and ambiguity as well. So what is ambiguity? Ambiguity is something that you have so many options to execute the work. When I went to Maldives, it was a reclaimed land. So you don't know what is under the surface. So I did my own study. Soil report says use board piles. No, I explore the other options. I can do a driven pile, I can do a rock foundation. And I did the study and I found most suitable foundation is to transfer the load of the terminal building down to the bedrock, which is 12 meters below, through a driven pile. So I made the decision. Since I made the decision, it improved my agility. I can start the job immediately, and I started the work. If you don't take such decisions, if you are ambiguous, you cannot move. So here, this ambiguity is also another point that I have to explain to you. You take and report to your top management based on the information provided by this project team. Now, if you don't streamline the project team to provide information based on the standard forms, they will give all sorts of information, and you are not sure whether to report to Bin Laden or not. So that way, I do one thing. I sit down with my team and go to www.projectmanagement.com. You have tons of templates, plans, enough. You sit with your team, select what you want. Then you know the information coming from your team is what is required. So there, I improve my agility. If you do all these things, you can counter this VUCA world. Let me tell you some more stories. VUCA world will drive you to an uncertain situation. PMBOK-7 was issued in 2021. PMI introduced new performance domain called uncertainty. Because PMI has already recognized uncertainty is a big issue with the project managers. Now, what the PMBOK-7 recommends? It recommends you to use probabilistic distributions with associated probabilities within the outcome range to find 95% probability. Have you read this? You go and read the PMBOK-7, it is there. Now, why it is that? This is PMBOK-7 clause 2.4.2.2. Right. Why it is like this? Because as project manager, you manage time and cost. But time and cost is not deterministic. It is probabilistic. You always have a range. Let us say you have an activity. Activity duration, you have pessimistic time, optimistic time. You can complete that within that range. So there you have a probabilistic estimate. Now, there is a theory in probability which says for all naturally occurring random processes, if you plot, what is a naturally occurring random process? Take childbirth. It's a natural occurring random process. The baby born will have a weight between 2 kilograms and 5 kilograms. It cannot be less, it can be less than 2 kilograms, but the probability is very less. It can be more than 5 kilograms, the probability is less. So for such naturally occurring random processes, researchers have found if you plot Z score against the probability, you will get a bell curve like this. This is a research finding. Everybody is using this. So in addition to that, they have established this empirical rule. For such naturally occurring random processes, you have to find the mean value of all the data and find the standard deviation. But there is one condition. If you don't have past records, what do? You use this triangular distribution. If you have minimum number of 30 data, you can use probabilistic distribution, that is normal distribution. If you have more than 10,000 outcomes, then you use Monte Carlo simulation to find this beta distribution. I had done all these things. Right, let me explain to you with an example so that you understand what it is. Project duration outcome range. Let me show you this example, which is very simple. I have 6 activities. I develop the network, and I find that all activities have optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time. So if I can calculate the total float with this equation, total float equals latest finish time minus earliest start time minus duration, I find total float of activity A, B, C, and D are 0. If the total float is 0, that activity is critical, that you know by heart. Okay, the connecting activity path is the critical path. Now my point is that to find the duration, you have to add durations of critical activities. 8 plus 12 plus 14 is equal to 44 days if I consider optimistic duration. So this project completion duration is 44 days minimum. If I take the pessimistic duration, 16 plus 18 plus 22 plus 30, it is 86 days. So that means this project can be completed from 44 days to 86 days. Now, what you do, you find the probability of completing this project in 44 days, 45 days, 46 days, up to 86 days. If you add all these probabilities, it will be 1. This is the probability theory. This is what you saw in the bell curve. And there you have that empirical rule as well. Now look at this. Finding 95% probability outcome with standard normal distribution bell curve. Look at this. These are the critical activities. I have optimistic duration and pessimistic duration. If I use the triangular equation, O plus M plus P divided by 3, I get the average duration of all the critical activities. Now, total duration is the total of critical activity duration, that is 63. Now, 63 is the mean value which you can see here. Now I have to find what is the standard deviation. To find the standard deviation, you have this equation, P minus O over 6. That can be plus or minus as well. So because of that, you can find the variance, which is the standard deviation square. If you add the standard deviation square, you get 13.44. This equation says standard deviation is the square root of variance. Square root of variance is 3.67. So I approximated that as 4. So 1 standard deviation is 4, 2 standard deviation is 7, 3 standard deviation is 11. Now, what the empirical rule says, you have a 68.2% area which is shown in green if that is between 1 standard deviation and minus 1 standard deviation. So if 63 minus 1 standard deviation is 63 minus 4, it is 59. 63 plus 4, it is 67. Similarly, 63 minus 2 standard deviation, 56. 63 plus 2 standard deviation, 7. So you can find the distribution of duration of the project. The same thing you can do it for the cost. So what you will do, I have to find out what is the 95% probability. So that means I must find out where is this 95% area and find the Z value here. Now for that, you have 2 methods. One is standard statistical table, which is available in any statistical textbook. And here, that curve shows the area based on the Z value. Now, I know that I want the area 95%. So 95% 0.5 is corresponding to Z value of 1.65. So moment you know the Z value, you can find the X, because Z equals X minus mu divided by sigma. So once you find the X, it says 69 days. What is the significance of this? 95% probability. Why PMBOK-7 says take 95% days? Because if you take mean duration, 63, what is the probability of occurring that duration of 63? Only 50%. If you make your critical path analysis and make your baseline program and start comparing actual work according to the critical path, you are wrong. That is why PMBOK-7 says use 95%. If you use 95% probability, that means you are almost comparing apple to apple. There are many project managers, they do this mistake and they give their predictions all wrong. The reason is he has not read the PMBOK-7. Right, now let me go into this detail. If you don't like this graph, you use this Excel formula, that is norm inverse, 95%, 63, 3.67, you get the same answer. Right, now there is another method I told you, and remember the bell curve is an approximation. If you want the exact value, you must do the Monte Carlo analysis. Now for that, I give you this example. Look at this. To find the 95% probability, I must develop this frequency diagram and this cumulative probability diagram. Now here, what I have done, I have developed 10,000 networks here. How? There are two equations. Of course, I don't know whether I can get out from this screen and come back, but if I get out from this screen, I can show you this Excel sheet. But now I cannot get out, but note down this email address. If you send me a request, I will send you a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. You go in yourself and double-click this particular table and you will find the Excel sheet. And you can find all the equations that I have used in Excel. But there is one catch. You can use Excel sheet, Excel program, if your project has only 500 activities. Anything more than 500, you will get stuck, even if you have 16 GB RAM. If you want to do that, you must learn what? Python programming. I can develop this particular diagram in 5 lines of Python code. And I have done that. It will not take 5 minutes. So I encourage you project managers to learn Python. You should know data analytics. You will not have a future if you don't improve yourself. Right? Okay, let me understand that as well. And similarly, I have done Monte Carlo simulation for the cost also. There again, I made 10,000 networks and find this distribution, and from that I can find out the cost of project completion cost at 95% probability is $7 million US. So time and cost you can do like this. Right, and then let me explain you this construction volatility also. Variations. Now this is the Maldives International Airport original design, which we did with a lot of effort, and of course it was a BIM technology that we used, and we developed the whole airport and got all the approvals, and we were starting piling work. Now while we were doing the piling work, that you can see there I am inspecting this, because this pile hit a boulder. That was also an uncertain situation, but I managed to do that. But biggest problem came because of this, because we ordered 1,500 piles. His Excellency, the President of Maldives, called me to his office. He said, Nihal, you have done an excellent job, but that is not matching with Maldivian culture. You have gone with a European company to do the design, and that shows European culture. Your Excellency, what is the culture that you are expecting? I want to see ocean waves and white sand reflected on this facade. I said, we'll do, Your Excellency. I did not say no, because he is disturbing me. Variations are coming now. I felt I can easily make $30 million US to $50 million US if I execute this. And in addition to that, COVID-19 was around the corner. Now, COVID-19 time, it's very difficult to do work. But if I start doing the design changes, I can do it at home. So we started doing the design change. Of course, uncertainty is also there because you know why? How do I know whether this president will win the next election? Before that next election, I must get the approvals. I mobilized my team and asked them, go ahead and do this. And they did this, and while doing that, I started continuing my original design. I bought all the files, I drove all the files, I do testing, I do pile driving, and here you can see I'm inspecting one of the piles there as well. And of course, all that work I continued. Then I called the architect in France because we had outsourced this design to a company in France. I called this architect and I told her, look, Jane, President is upset with your design. He wants to change this to reflect the waves and the white sand. Oh, Nihal, this is not the time to do these things. France, everybody is dying. The government is not doing anything. We don't know whether we will go to the office tomorrow or not. Uncertain situation. Volatility is there. Complexity is there. Ambiguity is there. I realized, okay, she's also in a VUCA world, not only me. So I told Jane, no, you cannot escape. Why? This is an EPC turnkey contract. Engineering, procurement, construction, all three done by the Bin Laden group. So we take the responsibility. And this contract is signed based on the FIDIC syllabus. And clause 13.1 right to vary says, variation may be initiated by the employer at any time prior to issuing taking over certificate. You are far away from the taking over certificate, you just start foundation work. Now what I did, I told her, go ahead and start doing your design, you have no escape route. Then she said, okay, send me the instructions to change this design. I sent it. Now look at that. See what she developed. This is one of the fantastic designs to me. In a short time, she finished all these things, and I sent this to our process, this change control process, and finally it reached Bin Laden, and he reviewed this, and he called me personally and told me, Nihal, go ahead with this design. This is much, much better than what you did the design. Okay, so I took the green light, and this is how I managed to give the contingency reserves calculations. My contract sum is 357 million. I remove the GST 6%. I remove engineering and design for which I paid to the company. And I remove the insurance. I remove the bonds. I kept a markup of 10%. Of course, I'm showing you 9.4% because I kept 0.6% for my bonus and my team bonus. Right. And then from that, I found the cost budget is 285 million. If you look at PMBOK-7, they call it top-down estimate. This is the top-down estimate. Now I do the bottom-up estimate. I have major cost components in preliminaries, passenger terminal building, service building, and external work. And for that, project estimate came 239 million. Now I told you, known risk I can calculate based on the expected monetary value of all the packages. That value came to 28.5 million. Now, if I have these two figures, I have a cost baseline of 263 million. Now you can see there is a difference between cost budget and the cost baseline, and that difference I kept as unknown risks. That is 6.33%. No means it is 5%. So I managed to continue this work and hope this will teach you something. You follow PMBOK-7. Don't doubt on that. Don't talk about anything. Just to learn how to read PMBOK-7 front to back, back to front. You'll be all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Ms. Nihal Premachandra, proving, I think, that his 38 years of experience is nothing more than just a number. And thereby distilling that experience and the fine spirit of it, trying to share his experience with us so that we can take it away into our learning as well. So once again, thank you very much, Nihal. We would like to invite our very own Gishan Wickramasinghe, who is Vice President of Professional Development of PMI Colombo, Sri Lanka. And of course, our customary humble token of esteem and appreciation towards Nihal Premachandra as well.